Welcome, dear viewers, to InCast. So it's actually been a while, but today we have some very interesting guests, actually. So to my right, we have...
I'm Muxammad Sulton, and I have a 7.5 from the IELTS.
Wonderful. And to my left, we have...
I'm Malika, and I'm an 8.5 band holder.
That is just wonderful. So in today's episode, we're just going to go through a series of different questions, actually. And let's just compare, and just have a first perspective on the differences between native, 8.5, and 7.5. Let's really get into their heads and figure out how they got to these different levels. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, so... first and foremost, I would really like to know from your guys' point of view, right? What were the real life benefits of you learning English?
So for me, it's a college application. So I want to enter to the university in the USA. So, and I can also speak with my dad's friends that are from Turkey in English.
That's wonderful. Great. What about you, Malika?
Well, I guess it's the same for me as for application for college, and also the language itself is very useful because I have a lot of friends from abroad, and it's very nice to chat with them and good to have one language in common.
That's great, actually. I'm very happy. And, well, I guess I also use English to communicate with people like you guys, right? Because I really love talking to, our successful students. It's very great to see that, they're able to get to these phenomenal levels. And I'm very proud of you guys. It's a very good job.
Nice.
Of course. Now, another part of real life benefits, right? So, what are your predictions when you go abroad, right? Well, for Sultan, of course, first and foremost, right? When you go abroad, what do you think? Will it be easy or will it be hard for you to adapt to maybe the USA?
Yeah, I think there will be some problems with adaptation because there are everything different from our country. But I have a knowledge of English, so I think there wouldn't be a lot of problems.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I mean, you have a base understanding, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you get to American, you're just going to become an American boy straight away, buddy. All right, what about you, Malika? What are your
Well,
predictions?
Personally, I think it's going to be a bit hard for the first few weeks, but just casual speaking is going to be easy, but more academic, I think that's where the problem's going to arise because you have to know how to speak English in I don't know, a certain subject, and that might be a bit harder.
Of course, yeah, you can understand that, right? Because at the end of the day, having a base understanding of speaking in English is one thing, but then, being able to eloquently adapt to more advanced speaking and more academic reglaments it's quite difficult, guys. But anyhow, I am more than certain that, you guys are international students, you'll get to America, to UK, or to Europe, doesn't matter. You'll adapt in 2 minutes, and you'll already be president the next day, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So now another question arises just from this one, right? Guys, do we love or do we hate IELTS? Go.
So I do love IELTS. It's not so hard as I thought when I started the preparation for IELTS. But in common, it's easier than the SAT test.
Of course, yeah. Because, well, when comparing IELTS to SAT, SAT's got both, academic English and, well, the mathematics in SAT is really nothing hard. But still, you have to understand maths to get the SAT done. What about you, Malik? Do we love or hate IELTS?
I think it's kind of a love-hate relationship. It's some sections I love because they're easy, and some I hate because they're hard. Yeah.
Of course. And what are your favorite sections and your most hated sections?
My favorite probably would be speaking because it's easier for me.
Of course.
Most hated would be writing.
Writing?
Just for everyone. Well, because I don't know. Just when I started studying, it was I usually got a low score on the mock exams, and so I'd get really frustrated. And I don't know. It's really draining to like get a decent result and get somewhere. So I
Of
just like,
course.
eh.
Just yeah. And about that, you were taking the mock exams with IELTS Practicum?
Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful. And can you share a little bit about your experiences with IELTS Practicum?
Oh, sure. Well, I actually went there 4 times.
4 times. All
Yes,
right.
the first 3 times, I kept getting nervous, and the first 3 times I had 7.5 in a row, and then the last time I had 8.5, and then I submitted it to IELTS. Yeah,
That's wonderful. And you got how much from IELTS?
8.5.
8.5.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. And what about
Build
you?
up.
Of course. What about you, Sultan? How did you ever, attend IELTS Practicum or other events that
Yeah,
International
it
hosted?
was actually 4 or 3 times, and there was always 6.5, 7, and the last one was the 7.5.
Of course. And after 7.5, you're like, sure, now I can go to the real exam and get
Yeah.
8.5, right? Nah. But like you got a 7.5 from the real exam, which is actually a very difficult thing to do. And how old were you?
So 16?
You're only 16 years old. Like you're very young, right? So many people actually train for the IELTS for years, right? But I'm very happy that you guys were able to attend IELTS Practicum and maybe some other events, right? And I truly hope this helped you out because we always at International we always try to help you guys
Thank
at the end
you.
of the day, of course. So guys, now we discussed do we love or do we hate IELTS, right? So let's just go on to like straight away, let's go on to the test day experience. Can you tell me a little bit about your emotional condition, right?
Well, honestly, I wasn't really expecting this, but I wasn't nervous at all. I actually went there by mistake 2 hours early, and I managed to take a nap before the exam started. And so during the exam, I was like pretty chill actually, because for me everything was like very easy, and so I was like, I can do this, and I was like,
Of course.
it was just like a nice experience. I went, it was good.
That's great. I mean, of course, you already have prior mock experience with IELTS Practicum, right? So
Yeah.
you already knew basically what to expect from the IELTS exam itself, right?
Yeah, mostly.
That's wonderful. Well, was there anything unexpected that you encountered?
The headphones. I did not expect that.
The headphones, yes.
I was
yes.
like, they had a technical problem there with the headphones, and so we had to wait for like half an hour. And I was so scared while listening that it was just going to cut off, and I'm gonna like miss everything. And I was like very scared while doing listening, but then it like turned out well, and so I was like, thank God.
Of course. Well, you never really know what to expect on the exam day itself, and technical difficulty is just one of the other things. But thankfully, you were able to take the exam, and well, you got an 8.5, so I guess nothing went too bad.
Yeah.
Right? What about you, Sultan?
So it was actually the same as her, but I haven't done app. So it
You got the
was-
advantage.
Yes.
It was about 1 hour of waiting for the start of the exam, but I was chilled because I had my phone. I was the last one that entered the exam.
I was the first one, and I didn't have my phone.
Oh no. All right. I mean, that's great though. But like overall about your emotions, right? Did you like at all feel anxious or do you think you were just ready for the exam?
So the day before the exam, I was nervous, but in the exam day, I was something like the very confident in myself.
Okay. All right, that's very good, guys. That's very informative because now I understand basically that at least the things that we're doing with the IELTS Practicum and the events are working, which is very good. So, well, thankfully, you guys both knew what to expect, which is very important, right? If you're going to the exam and you're like, oh, where am I?
Yeah.
Of course, it's a very anxious situation. So on that topic, right, we already discussed the events. What about the teachers themselves, guys? Who were your teachers? Tell me about them and how they helped you out. Go.
So my teacher is Mr. Mishad, and my support academic is Miss Muslima. So Mr. Mishad helped me with the understanding of IELTS. How should I work with the tasks, and how should I work on myself at home? Like, how I analyzed my problems with the reading and listening, and the worst type of question that I had was the map questions in the listening. So I worked on it a lot of times, and it became one of my strong types of questions.
That's
Where
wonderful.
so it was like the cycle of doing mock tests at home and analyzing what should I improve again. So I really thankful to my teacher, Mr. Mishat, and also for Miss Muslima. She helped me with the speaking.
Oh,
So at the first mock it was 4.5,
ooh.
and now it's 6.
That's just amazing. From 4.5 to 6, I mean, that's just great. How did she actually help you with your speaking? Can you give some examples maybe? I really want to know.
So she helped me with her own experience. Like she conducted speaking like I was the examiner and she was a student. And also with the practice. I practiced a lot of times with her.
Of course, understood. That's actually a very interesting approach that your academic support took. What was her name again?
Miss Muslima.
Yeah, Miss Muslima, that's amazing that she puts you into the examinator's shoes and she tries to give you the sample answers so you can hear it from her perspective, which is like a very interesting methodology to implement. I'm very happy that she did that. And what about you, Malika?
Yeah, so my teacher was Miss Saida and my support Mr. Firdaus. And yeah, like they contributed a lot to like all my knowledge. So Miss Saida, she really helped me like understand the IELTS exam itself, like what tasks there are and what the examiner like wants from me, especially in writing. As I said, like I don't really like it, but
Yeah.
she really like helped me a lot to like understand it and like do what is needed from me. And my support as well, like we actually spent a lot of time together, like doing a lot of reading and listening, and he always gave me like all these shortcuts and how to like cheat the system and like
Yeah.
what's like what to expect, and it was like really nice. And he also helped a lot in writing as well, and so I would always like whenever we learned new essay types, I would like always write a bunch of essays, and he would like check all of them and give feedback, and it was like very helpful. And in speaking as well, we just like also did these interviews with each other, and it was like all of it was like very helpful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And can you give me like one highlight that you think, in your opinion, contributed the most to your getting this high band score? One highlight from your teacher. The most important thing that he done.
The motivation.
The motivation,
Yes.
of course.
Because like we also we always like had these bets, like
Yeah.
whenever I went to the mock exam, he would say like, if you get a 8 or higher score, then I buy you a KFC set. And I was
amazing.
like
That's-
working so hard on that.
Of course. I mean, you got the 8.5 mock,
Yes.
right? Did you get the KFC?
Yes,
set?
I did.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's just amazing. All right. So I guess, well, our teachers, I'm actually very happy to hear this. Well, they're not only, inclining you academically, but they're actually even motivating you,
Yes.
which really makes me happy to see, right? So you guys yourselves, well, you can see the results of their efforts, right? And this is just simply put phenomenal. So, yeah, now we talked about that. Oh, by the way, Sultan as well, give me one main highlight from your teacher that's like the most essential to you getting this high band score.
His expectations from
Expectations,
me. Yeah.
yeah.
Like I tried to become as he expected from me. Like he think I was the smartest guy in the class.
Of course.
What?
Of course. What did you say?
Bro, second guessing yourself.
So the most helped me.
Okay, understood. And actually, another question arises from this one, right, guys? What do you guys think for getting this high band score? Is it mainly the teacher with his special methodologies and his motivation, or you think it's more the student being disciplined? What are your opinions?
I think like both are equally important, but yeah, I think the student has to contribute more than the teacher
Of course.
because like the teacher is only there to guide him,
Yeah.
and if someone is like very self-disciplined and he can like guide himself, then he might not even need a teacher.
Yeah.
So I think like it's important for if a student has a teacher, it's important to take everything he can from them and apply it and like use it for himself, like
Of course.
and also practice it a lot. Of
course.
like if there's a teacher and like a student does nothing, then it's like no use.
Yeah, even if the teacher is very advanced, the methodology is there, and the teacher is trying their best. At the end of the day, I also agree with you. It's really important that the student follows a disciplined regime of studying, applying himself, and of course taking into consideration all the points that were reviewed in the class. Right, guys?
Yep.
Of course. And Sultan, what do you think?
So to sum up, I think it's 40% the effort of the teacher and 60% of the student.
Good, good. Explain why.
So if there are no good approach to the IELTS, if they don't know how to like how they should prepare for IELTS, so students can get a low mark, but with the good teacher, they will have the 7.5 or above.
Understood. That's a very, very good and very precise actual delineation of, the teacher-student relationship and how, this relationship plays a role in getting your band score. And guys, I guess finally, I just want to really hear some motivating words from you guys because, of course, you guys got such high band scores. And towards the end, I actually want to also give some notes about the speakings and about the differences that I actually heard, if that's okay with you guys. All right. Yeah. So motivation, let's start off with Malika. Go ahead. What is your motivation?
Okay, so I'm bad at this. And well, I think it's important to be like confident in your own like strengths because I see a lot of people who think like it's out of this world impossible to get a high score and they often doubt their own like strength, and I think it's important to acknowledge that with hard work and dedication it is actually possible, and so it's important to make sure like you don't set boundaries for yourself, like
Of course, don't limit yourself.
Yep.
Very well said. And Sultan?
So I'm also not so good at it, but
Go
I
ahead.
think the most important is believing in yourself and don't becoming anxious with some bad achieve like the bad marks that you have from mocks, or if you skip one question in the listening, you don't should be like very nervous
Yeah.
about I will have 5.5.
Yeah, yeah. Of
You
course.
should work harder and try to get 39 correct
course.
answers.
Of course.
40.
From the list.
40 or 41.
Yes.
All right. So what I generally understood is that for both of you guys, on the first place, it's very important for the student themselves to be disciplined and for them to believe in themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
And I completely agree with you guys. That's very well said. Like how you were 16. How old are you, Malika?
16.
You guys are both 16, right? And I'm truly happy. I'm truly excited to see that our youth, is able to articulate themselves in such a manner where they can understand each other and they can actually help each other to be better day after day. So guys, just towards the end, this whole episode was about native 8.5, 7.5. Overall, I just want to give my last final statements. I love this. You guys were simply amazing, right? So, but the main differences that I heard, all right, guys, and this is nothing bad, of course.
Sure.
I'll just give you the highlights. Is that 8.5 is your speaking is very fluid. like right, fluid and fluent, of course, because you're able to talk without hesitating as much, but still at times I kind of feel like you're missing that one word that you want to say, right? Like as if it's in your head, right? But you're hesitating. I can feel it, and
Yeah,
you're
it
using that
happens.
different word. Yeah, of course. But overall, amazing speaking, right?
Thank you.
And for Sultan, so for 7.5, your speaking is just mwah, chef's kiss, brother. It's really good. However, there's one point that I did notice. It's not really about the words that you use because you're able to use these words correctly, which is already impressive. But sometimes you're either switching up your tenses in the middle of a sentence or you're switching up the ending of the word, right? You're trying to make certain words into infinitives, or you're trying to make sure that they end in ing or ive, right? Which is usually something that you would want to avoid. I'll take that into consideration, right? But overall, guys, I'm really, really happy that we had this episode because, you know, it was a delight for me, right, to be able to hear your guys' opinion, how you climbed and how you persevered, and how hopefully Internation helped you in this journey of yours.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. All right. Well, I guess, dear viewers, on that note, this is the end of InCast. Hopefully, we're going to have even more and even better IELTS results coming out very soon. Please stay tuned, dear viewers. Thank you.